So I just said good morning, Europe, and good evening, USA, and just super happy that we are now still going strong in 24th hour broadcast. And so I just talked to some team members. They seemed like super passionate and like super happy, and they're just like super happy they're doing something for the first time that nobody has ever done. I just think that's awesome, and I'm really happy to be able to co-host and to help out an event like that. And as I said, to bring someone that I really like talking to, and to bring on some girl power, which is what everybody needs on any sort of like talks and conferences and stuff like that. Ever since like Danny kind of brought us together at that Branded by Women conference, I just think that was kind of really like he said kind of huge, like a milestone, like, so what's going to be like next for, like the women entrepreneur. And so how are you this morning?
I'm wonderful. I'm completely for, women entrepreneurship, and something, I can bring in like a psychological, dimension to why we are care about women entrepreneurship. At least for me personally, it is something I discovered yesterday. I'm like having those, like time to time, I'm going to like a psychologist to figure out some childhood issues, and
right.
really interesting that we figured out is that I really care about women entrepreneurship, because as a child I really cared about my mother, and I wanted my mother's voice to sound more, and she didn't have that much voice, so that's why I'm like super pumped about women entrepreneurship, and I just figured that out yesterday.
yeah, of course. So I'm really happy that we have you on. I don't know if you guys know, but Egle is the biggest Amazon seller in Estonia.
As a woman,
it doesn't matter. Soon to be as the biggest one in Estonia, and I'm pretty sure. And she's a mom. She's an entrepreneur. Can you tell us something about yourself, so people can get to know you a bit better?
Yes, of course. I've been selling like 3.5 years, and before coming to Amazon, I actually have 5 prior businesses, and those businesses have never went big or anything. So I've been struggling and hustling and doing side gigs for very, very long time. And something I really want to talk about today is that how to start. Like, I have so much experience on how to start when you don't have any resources, no time, you have kids, you have your social life, you just don't want to get fat, sitting 24 hours in front of the computer. This is a real threat, and it's not only an issue that you have when you want to start. The issue is also when you want to scale and grow the business, because you end up working 14 hours a day and losing all your friends, and your kids gonna start missing you. So I think having a successful business is full of traps. How do you feel about it? I mean, I think it's full of traps. And we as entrepreneurs sometimes tend to be the biggest enemies of our business and biggest enemies of our own well-being if we don't really know how to talk about it. We can burn out and crash, and then this results in having no company at all, even when we started with the best intentions. Yeah, so I'm really to dig into that. But a few words about myself. Yeah, we are hoping to cross 4 million revenue this year. That would be really big for us. We are in office category, and we're hoping for an exit next year. So let's see how that is going to go. We're having the fingers crossed for that. But, an exit is a long process. It is not like I want to sell, I'm going to sell tomorrow.
Definitely.
Because 12 months of steady, very good profitability to show for the new owners. So we're working on that really deeply right now. I do have dreams. So I'm I don't have all the time and money in the world to do a business, because I'm already preoccupied with everything else. But there is some hacks.
I understand.
If I can do it, anybody can do it, because 3 kids is a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I know, I've met, when Wild Tea first started, it was like almost 3 years ago. And then I remember my first conference, and when I first met people from the space, I was just like, wow, like these people, like they're like, so random, like what people do, and like apart from their businesses, what they've like accomplished in their life, and like how it all kind of works out. Because I don't think like unless you are in this, like an entrepreneurial bubble, you don't actually know how it works. Like what are the struggles, what are the hacks, like how do you even get started? Because like, for instance, from one of my circle of friends is not an entrepreneurial type of people, but they're really corporate. They have amazing jobs. They're super successful, but they just don't. They were never interested in something like this. So, it's kind of so refreshing to meet people, like after living your life like for 30 years or so in one way, and then you're like, wow, there's like completely different universe. And I always liked talking to different people and like hearing the experience. And what I really like is like, and people who I like to talk to, I had Sharon Evan yesterday, and she's like really real, she's just like, well, I had a shitty day because, somebody checked my listings, and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm like, well, this is something that you really, I'm not saying that you want to hear, but that kind of helps you be like, oh, okay, so it's not all, unicorns and butterflies. It's actually people struggle with a lot of stuff, and it's okay to talk about it and to show that. And I think that's like, that's how people can actually learn from that and respect you even more, because you're not just like this kind of like, bling bling person online who just kind of knows her stuff and does everything without, any mistakes. And when I asked you, like, what would you like to talk about today? You said that you want to talk about, actually what is like the path, like on Amazon, for instance, like how do you get started? Like when you don't have money, maybe when you don't have knowledge, when you don't have time, like how does that work? And like, I think that there are a lot of people, like so far, our stream has been seen by 7,000 people, close to 7,000 people. And I think there are probably a lot of people who, like, especially nowadays when, everything, with everything going on this year, I'm not saying the C word. I don't want to talk about that. But I think a lot of people wonder, like, so how do I do this? Like, I have my savings. Maybe you lost your job and you're like, well, I really want to get started. I mean, on LinkedIn, I got a message from a pilot asking me, like, how do I start selling on Amazon? And I was like, wow, So like, with your expertise and everything, like what would be something like that you could, like what's the message you can convey to people in order to help them?
Yeah, well, this is a huge question. This is a wonderful question. I think, let me know when we're about 50% done with the time, because then I know if I need to speed up or something. But this
yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah,
this is like a huge thing. So let's just get started and see where we end up. And I'm gonna cover a lot of these real-time situations that you need to hack. You seriously need to hack yourself, your situation, your time. And your perception and your expectations as well. So what happens really is that when we start a company or we need to scale the company, it's actually the same situation. You find yourself working 14 hours because you have the main job, or you already have like about 5 listings up and you say, scale, but you just physically don't have more time because you just can't manage more listings. So you end up like being crushed to the corner and you don't have room to breathe. So you're working all those really, really long hours. Even either you're having your main job, you're having your kids, you go into your workouts, and you find yourself like 10 o'clock in the evening. This is from 10 to 2 o'clock in the evening. This is your only free time. You just don't have more time, and you're pretty much crushed, and you want to start and you don't know what to do. So you end up in frustration, and maybe you end up in a burnout. And this is very, very usual situation. I think about 50% of Amazon businesses never scale or go anywhere. Okay, 25% of starters, they just never get the listing up. And another 25% of the starters who have a listing up, they are unable to scale because they cannot hack the situation of frustration, growth, and how to go about it. So it is a trap. Entrepreneurship is a big trap. In a sense that you have to create something out of thin air. You do not have time. You already are occupied enough. Nobody has spare time usually, and you do not have money. So that's what you have to do. So okay, let's start from the time. Seriously, I think that if you want to create something, and entrepreneur's DNA is about creating something out of thin air, then you need to expect that you are going to be out of balance for a while, about 6 months, 12 months or something. And what I mean about being out of balance is that we have about 8 different needs in our life. We have the social needs, we need to meet our friends. We have the physical needs. We need to be fit in order to function well. The professional achievement need. We need some pleasures in life to enjoy. We need some mental clarity, strength, stability. We need to be spiritual. Emotions need to be all right. We need to be materially feeling secure. So pretty much you need to teach so many of those needs. But you need to know this is temporary. You just need to invest a lot of time into professional growth. That means you need to learn a lot. So when you are starting, you need to learn, I would say, maybe just take 3 months just to learn Amazon. Don't try to go too fast. If you have a main job, just do it from 9 o'clock in the evening until 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the nighttime. You cannot study just with 30 minutes or 40 minutes. You need a more time because Amazon is very complex, very interrelated. So you need many hours in one block really to start understanding that this is valid when you start to test creating listings, ordering stuff, negotiating with manufacturers. You cannot do it with 30 minutes. You really need to block out your evenings. And I would say evenings are the time most people would be able to dedicate to start a business. They put your kids to sleep and you just need to do it in the evening until as long as you can last. So you need to be contributing to your professional growth a lot. Then I would say you are going to burn out really fast if you don't move yourself. You need to move yourself, at least 15, 20 minutes of physical activity. This just keeps you running. Your physical body needs to support your brain. And, since you cannot really contribute to all of those 8 needs that we just discussed about, there is only one left. And I would suggest this is a spiritual part. And spiritual part more in detailed way is meditation. Meditation helps you download all the answers that you need when growing as a person. And entrepreneurship is a personal growth story. So you need to be a little bit physical, 15, 20 minutes of sport, and spiritual in a form of meditation. And then all the rest, the social part, the material security, the emotional well-being, it is not a secure place to be an entrepreneur. You need to accept that emotionally you are going to feel a lot of up and downs. So mentally you're going to feel unstable sometimes, but this is a path of entrepreneurship. Come on, you need to take risk in order to keep the cake. Yeah.
But let me just ask you, how did you learn Amazon? Who?
You cannot find time. You cannot be an entrepreneur. There's no way.
Definitely.
You need to hack this system. You always need to hack this system and yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I just think, but I also think that before you even start doing it, you really have to understand how much sacrifice, effort, and time you really have to devote, to doing something like that. A lot of people just see Amazon and, of course, other platforms like Walmart and Shopify and everything else as a way to get quick money. And of course, I don't blame those people because what's presented to you on Instagram sponsored ads and other ads is I've been selling for 2 months. Here's my Lambo. Here's my ton of cash. Here are my hookers, and I can afford everything. And you want to be more like me? Do you? Well, then, this is just $2,000 away. And it's only today, and it's limiting seats, blah, blah, the standard, pitch. And this is what people totally think oh, well, I'm totally going to be like this guy, And I'm saying guy because, unfortunately, Amazon is a man's world. And, I was recently at this, recently, a couple of months ago, it was this meetup or mastermind, whatever, and there's only guys, and it's and I was the only woman, and it was just, now it's not weird, but I remember going to my first ever conference that was in Hamburg about 4 years ago, And this is my first time actually going into this, space and meeting these people. And there was like 70, 80 persons attending that event. And then at one point I'm like, wait a minute, like I am the only woman here. And there was just like, and then I was with Lazar and just like, Lazar, did you notice any other woman around here? And he was like, no, because it was also his first event. And he was like, this is so weird, And then that was like my biggest shock. And then after like event after event, you would see that there's like 10% women and 90% men. And you're like, wow, this is just, it's just so weird, but I mean, it's okay because I understand why women are maybe, a little bit scared and, they don't have that additional push everybody needs, right? But I think that you also, as a woman, you just think for yourself, unfortunately, that I can't do it. There's a man should do it. They're good with computers or like sales or whatever not. So I think that a lot of women, they just they don't have the confidence to start. They automatically have like 50% less edge just because they don't have confidence in themselves. And maybe, like, for instance, I'm from Southeast Europe, and this is not something that like, it's not quite common that a woman has her own business. And I'm not a mother, but a lot of, people out there, they're mothers, they're everything, everything you can like jiggle in life, they actually do. And I just think that, that's why I think it's important to talk about it. So other people and other women who just don't feel secure or have the confidence or think that they will fail, should go out there and do it. But, as you said, like for selling on Amazon, it's like you need to be ready to devote time and money and sacrifice and to tell your kids, sorry, I have to work now. Mommy has to do the work. And you have to, you have to set your priorities once you start selling on Amazon. If you have a baby or if you want to be, more with your kids, I think that that's not the right time for you to start selling on Amazon, definitely, because you would be torn between two things that you don't know how to juggle with. So that's what I think. I just think that if you want to do something, you have to do it like 100%. And that's very important, to just go all in and not like, part-time, because then that just means that you're going to be partially successful if you put like, partial, persona in that. That's what just, my 2 cents on that. I'm just gonna blabbering about it all, and I just think that, this is what I've, with talking to other amazing women and men that I know, this is exactly that formula is that you have to go 100% and all in, definitely.
Yeah, entrepreneurship really is all or nothing. I would love to suggest one solution for this issue, because, if you think about it, when people start businesses, it's mostly on their late 20s, 30s, early 40s, when it's the peak. And for women, it's the same, but it goes together with, having your houses, buying apartments, having kids. So that's the reason why there is so little women in business, that all those things need to happen together. But this is not true, correct. I mean, I think women have so much to give. I was just recently checking out US data about entrepreneurship, and I was astonished that only like 4% of revenue are created by companies owned by women, which is non-existent. If I'm thinking about the value that the world is missing just because women are not taking that opportunity to hack this situation. And here I'm talking about hacking the situation. Nothing is given to you on the plate. So, okay, I'm going to give you a hack and you can argue with me. I would love to argue about it, because this is something that some women really get angry with me. And
I can take it. Bring it on. Bring on the hack.
Bring it on. I'm going to do it. Modern a little bit. Let's do it. So I would say starting a business is a mental bandwidth issue. We as women, and it's also a masculine energy and the feminine energy clash. So doing business is very much masculine. Achieving your goals, doing something, competing with everybody, achieving, your financial stability situation. It's just very, very masculine. It's a struggle. It's a quest to achieve something. But feminine energy is about being, enjoying, just having good time. And this is a lot about femininity. But we as women, we actually, in our main jobs, we are mostly in our masculine world. We are wonderful middle-level managers. Most people say that women are better middle-level managers in corporate roles than men are, and we're doing wonderful. But this is being in masculine energy. And when we are going home, we need to rest. What really happens, and that's where a lot of troubles in the families take place, is that men go home and men need to rest in their feminine energy. They've been working in masculine, achieving a lot, and then they recover in feminine energy, doing nothing, watching TV, putting their feet on the table, and reading the news and stuff. And this is all correct. There's nothing wrong with it. And if you think about how women act in the evenings, they start cleaning, cooking, taking care of kids, studying with kids, doing all those things. And what happens is on the daytime, they're on masculine energy. In the evening, they're on masculine energy. And what do you think is going to happen? They just basically have no mental bandwidth left. They have no recovery time left. And those women, they know they want to have more out of life. And what happens is they're miserable. They are not satisfied with their partners, not contributing, because the partners take time to recover from their day work, which everybody should do. And they're having arguments with their partner. And at the personal life, they also see that they're not achieving their dreams because they're just way too tired to do that. So you're so stuck, you're so painted to the corner, you cannot move anywhere. So the hack around it is to empower two things: empower yourself and allow yourself to rest. And that means that somebody else needs to do the work. Me as a mom, I have two school children, one a kindergarten kid. All of the kids, they have a 7-item daily to-do list. They do the dishes, they do the laundry, they do the the trash, they do the cleaning.
I did my laundry when I was 28.
And they do the flowers, they do the gardening, and only then, when they have all those things done, they get to have their screen time. Even the kindergarten kid, she can do the flowers, the watering of the flowers. She can clean up her room. She can do all those things. She can clean up the whole way, the shoes, the coats, So the thing is that, yes, we can give those tasks to kids, but nothing happens. Kids voluntarily are not going to start doing those tasks. So you need to be like a broken record. I would say this is wonderful that kids are pretty hard to train to do their homeworks, because if you can make your kids to do their homeworks by themselves, think about what else can you create with grown-ups. If you can hack kids, what else can you create with grown-ups who actually understand why things need to be done? So making kids to follow a certain system and giving you as a woman time to rest actually is another entrepreneurial learning opportunity. Just go and hack your kids. This is just another learning opportunity. Why not to do that?
Exactly. Yes, so I agree more. Like, if you can program other people, program your kids, and then that's very good.
They're so much harder than grown-ups. And I wouldn't say that you need to ever manipulate or program anybody. You just use entrepreneur. You need to create systems. So start from your home. You as entrepreneur in your business, you need to free yourself up all the time in order to find more markets, more earning opportunities, more products to launch. And for doing that, you always need to hire. You need to do the same thing at home. You need to free up your time so you can recover when you come back from your masculine day work. We just need to sit and do nothing, or meditate, or just be in the nature. We just need to do that. There's no other way.
Mm-hmm. I agree with everything you said 100%. But why would you like tell to people, because like the most favorite thing of all people are excuses. So why cannot you do something? It's like, well, I could, but I had
Yeah,
to, I don't know what, insert excuse, right?
yeah.
And a lot of people like agree with you 100% in theory, or they could be like, oh, it's easy for you to say because, whatever. And nobody thinks
Mhm.
about like that you actually went through the same thing that these people went through. But what would you tell people? Like, for instance, like, I'm a mom, I have a baby, I really want to do something new with my life. I'm miserable, I hate my partner, I want to change everything in my life. You cannot change everything overnight, but you want to make some baby step changes. But I keep on having excuses like, oh no, it's not from next month, or I swear to God, this is the last time I do something, or I'm so tired, I need to wash my hair, I cannot watch the course now, I have a headache. What would you tell to these people who always have some sort of excuses? And that's basically more than 50% of people that want to change something in their life, especially because it's hard and it's difficult and you're gonna cry a lot. And that's why people want to avoid those feelings and feeling even worse, not knowing that it just gets better and better. So, I think excuses are modern age sickness. And so what would you, how would you, like, on like a real example, like how would you cope with that? Or is there something that you can tell people like that can make their kind of lives easier, or maybe push, like, make the initial push from their excuses and be like, see, it's working, and then stop making excuses and just go and do your work?
Oh yeah, absolutely. See, that's what I'm doing for this question. This is a wonderful question. It's the best question ever. Because I completely agree with what you said. Most people have way too many excuses. They just don't even see themselves behind their excuses. The whole life is just a big one excuse.
Exactly.
Um, there is a sentence, that just covers it all, says it all. Creation and wonderful life, all of those things that make you fulfilled, happy when you're looking back to your life at age 98, everything that is required is outside of your comfort zone. Nothing happens in your comfort zone. If you have not seen enough pain, discomfort, living with so little money, not being able to provide your kids or yourself with at least minimum material security, if you have not seen contrast enough in your life and you haven't really decided that, stop, I don't want to live this life anymore, I need to start creating, I need to start stepping out of my comfort zone, nothing is going to happen. You are going to be a dreamer, you are going to be a consumer of all those endless courses, YouTube videos, webinars, podcasts that never end. You are just not going to, there is two roles to be. One is a creator that creates their life out of comfort zone, and another one is a consumer who is constantly dreaming. You need to make this shift or nothing ever is going to happen. I would say the first test is going to be a messy home. If you are going to give your partner or husband and kids an opportunity to clean up after themselves, you're definitely going to encounter a very, very messy home, because your partner and kids are not going to do it the second day you're telling them to do it. Everybody knows that it takes you many months to really enforce those new behaviors. And what we as women start to do is that we start to do their task. We start to clean after them. We cannot do that. No clean house has ever created a business unless you're in a cleaning business. So
Love this.
first task for you
I
is
think more people need to hear this, especially my mom, that, mom, she listened to this, by the way. And mom, see, it's okay. It's okay. We don't have to live in a,
okay.
it's like, because my mom has like always been like, like the house that should be like a pharmacy, clean, and that smell when you enter pharmacy, and it was just always too much for me. And like I'm not like that. I'm not my mom, but I'm not like super messy, but I'm somewhere in the between. I'm like, sometimes I'm messy, sometimes I'm clean, but it's fine, And I just think that people need to hear that it's not the most important thing in this universe to have your house smelling like alcohol or like a Sepsol or any of those, disinfection stuff for like, every single day. It's okay to be messy. And you know what? Like a lot of very successful creative people have been messy throughout, their whole life. And this is like, and that's something that you should not put as like a priority in your house. Of course, I mean, I'm not saying you should like, throw your dirty laundry or whatever, and like have, and your apartment smells like shit, but I'm just saying that this is not something that you should preoccupy yourself with, because I think also like the cleaning and stuff, that's also some sort of like an excuse, because you're like, you just have to wash the bathtub like tonight. You just have to do it, And but I love what you said about having your kids to do their chores and cleaning and gardening and stuff like that, and just teaching them from like a very early stage makes a very big difference. I personally am somebody who, like, my mom would always just clean after me, tidy my socks and stuff like that, and I have no intention of doing that when I have a kid. I'm just like, no, like, we're gonna live differently, and if you want to die in your own mess, it's just gonna be, I mean, it's absolutely your fault, because you have like different priorities and different things you should pay attention to, and I think that's the way to go. And as I said, it doesn't mean going to an extreme in having like this super messy home. But I just think it's exactly so well put how you said it, that, that should not be what you are doing. And you're just cleaning after everyone, and just, cleaning basically after everyone and your home, but not cleaning up your own life. So just kind of spacing out on that point. Yeah, on that point.
If you want to be a creator in your life, you cannot be a servant of everybody else's lives.
Yes.
This just cannot happen. And we as women, we just serving everybody unconsciously, we need to stop that. We need to empower everybody around us to take more care of how we live. I would say a messy home, of course, you're not going to smell in garbage stuff. Never. This is not going to happen. This is something that, your husband is going to start cleaning up when the house is going to smell gross. They're not going to let it go worse. I mean, yeah, maybe it's going to smell 3 days, but listen, you're not going to touch it. If the trash is an issue for your kids or your husband, let it smell. Let it smell for 7 days. This is the first step to come out of your comfort zone. This is the first step out of your comfort zone. Just be okay with the messy house. You're coming out of your comfort zone. You're creating opportunities for other people to be responsible for themselves and all the that they need to take care of. And this, women mostly tell to me that, I can only be creative when my surrounding is cleaned up and neat and organized. I completely get it. I have, absolutely the same thing. I am most creative when everything is cleaned up. But I would challenge you to come out of your comfort zone and create in a messy environment, and be okay with a messy environment. And this would be like a third entrepreneurial quest and challenge to go over. You need to start creating in a mess. There is no excuses to hide yourself behind the dirty dishes. It's just not going to happen. So I would actually be very interested to hear, Jana, what is like, how do you want to feel when you are 98? Like, if you look back to your life, like, have you ever had this mental exercise with you, that why you're having the immensely successful company, you're not hiding behind dirty dishes, why you are different than your friends?
I don't know. I was never bothered by the dirty dishes. We were talking about the dishes. I'm like, as I said, like, I could be like an OCD for like 3 days, and then like for 4 days, I'm just like, eventually I will clean it, and, if somebody's coming over my house, of course it's going to be, but I don't have a problem with that. I've never had a problem with that. And I don't have a problem with like, somebody else being like that. I mean, of course there has to be, as I said, like a balance and a limit. But if I were to look at my life when I'm like, I would not say 98, but I would say 80. That's kind of more realistic. But I also want to see myself as like somebody who was creative with their life, who did something, who dared to do something, and did not have that many excuses. I mean, I think I had like a lot of excuses for like previous like 30 years, but the last couple of years when I started my own business, I just saw that, you know, once you dare to do something and go outside of your comfort zone, this is where the magic happens. And this is where it actually starts, everything starts making sense. Because even if you're insecure and you leave the dishes in the dishwasher, you're like, yeah, but I had time to do something else. And actually something good came out of it. So I just kind of want to think that I can do some things that I've just dreamed about doing or heard, you know, about someone doing stuff like that. But, you know, it's also like reminds me of like when I was preparing my first speech ever, like it was in Prague, the European Solid Conference, like 2 years ago. And I was just like, you know, I had like this tons of paper. I was just like, you know, in my pajamas, but in my high heels. So I could like, you know, practice how to walk and stuff like that, like in front of the, you know, like hundreds of people. And I was just like, you know, and I've been always taught like you should like have your notes like this, like perfectly organized, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, it just doesn't work for me. I'm more of like a creative mess person with colors and stuff, other than being just like super, you know, organized whenever I do anything. And you know what? It works amazing for me. And this is like my routine. And I don't think there's anything wrong with me doing that, you know, because we've all been told, especially like when you grow up in school, you're like, how do you play basketball? Like, what's the throw? Like, what are you doing with your hand? Or like, you're running like an idiot, you know? And I just think that, you know, or like your dancing moves suck. Like, what do you dance like an idiot? And you know what? Like, some of these people will be like, yeah, but you know what? Those are my moves. And this is how I dance. And there's nothing wrong with me, you know? And I just think that you don't have to follow some patterns saying you should be like this in order to be successful, you know? And like nowadays, especially like in our space, I mean, there are people that like literally like they're not educated. They had like a different life before Amazon. They're not like this picture perfect entrepreneur, how you know, imagine them. And that kind of really helped me to kind of think outside of the box, because you set your own limits and basically something that you do the way you do and it's working for you. This is how you should do it. If you think it's a good idea to raise your kids in order that they do their chores so you have more time for yourself, that's fine. You're not a selfish mom. You're not being, you know, like this egocentric bitch. You're just being who you are. And if that works for you, and if the kids are happy and you made it happen and you were like, have this perfect family and you're super happy about it, then why not? You know, I just think that people are stigmatized for saying that, just because the society and the peer pressure has always been a big problem. And then you always have to kind of be like, oh, I was just kidding. Did I really say that out loud? You know, and stuff like that. So I just think that a lot of things that, you know, that's how this should be, like having 100% of clean house, or having organized notes, or I don't know, and like exercising every day in order to lose weight and stuff like that. You know, it's just some random things that people say, and everybody else to take them as they are and also for granted. They're just like, well, he said I have to do it this way, because if I don't do it any other way, I'm just going to be miserable and fail. And what I also just want to add is that what they teach us, like in elementary schools, for instance, is that, for instance, when you do math and the teacher says like, this is how you do it. And then you do it the other way. The teacher is like, you didn't do it my way. He's like, you're going to fail this exam, right? A lot of teachers don't teach us to think creatively and outside of the box, just because like you have to follow some procedures, you have to follow some rules, you have to follow what somebody else says. And if you fail, that's not a big deal. And, you know, and in schools, we're taught that if you fail, you should be ashamed and you should feel horrible by yourself because you are a failure. And that's something that kids grow up with, like in their mind, saying, wow, if I fail, I'm going to be like so embarrassed. Like my whole friends and family are just going to be like, oh, you know what happened? This person, you know, and this is just like how they taught us to think, which is completely horrible. And I have no idea when this is going to change or start changing at all. But I just think that that is a completely wrong mindset. And that's why we have so many fears, and we're afraid of so many things. Lack of confidence is also, of course, one of the modern problems. And I think that when you sit down and think about your life, and I mean, just talk to a therapist or talk to a mentor or talk to somebody else who can give you an initial push. If you don't have like a support in your partner or in your friends, find someone who will support you. I think that's very important. I think that not all people can support themselves. Be like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. Like I'm like one of those people. I could not push myself into doing anything without having this initial push. In my case, this is from Lazar, but other people don't have what I have. And then, I just think that you have to find someone who's going to support you and give you the initial push, who you will respect. I think that's very important. And I also don't think it's nothing to be, ashamed of, because, all of these like, risk takers, overnight successes and blah, 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 like as somebody said, like, it took, like, I think it was Gary Weiss when he said, like, overnight success is 10 years old, So it takes like a freaking lifetime to make it as an overnight success. So that's my 2 cents on that. I don't know if I answer your question. I can just go rambling like for 5 hours.
Yeah, no issue at all. I completely agree. I think, entrepreneurial journey is actually a personal growth story. Do not do that alone. If your husband or partner is not really there to support you, this is nothing bad about it. If you have nobody in your family or friend zone that can support you, definitely just take a coach. I had a coach 70% of my entrepreneurial life, and whenever I took a coach, my personal development story is so much faster, and my company develops so much faster because I have an opportunity to bounce ideas. Even the pure sensation of saying out some ideas and saying out some problems, the moment I tell them out, a solution comes to my head. If I don't tell them out, if I don't pronounce those things out, no solution can come. I don't know, some people need to write, some people just need to say it. We as women are more verbal. We need to have a partner who hears our words, and coach is pretty much a necessity when you are in a growth story, both business and personal way. So another thing, I think we don't have too much time, but I think just to say something to people who are growing their business, who already have managed to start, there is a huge trap in doing it all by yourself. You as a CEO, you need to know that why you hired yourself to your company is you need to bring in more revenue, more products, more marketplaces, whatever. You need to create the money. Whenever you find yourself doing the same thing for the 7th time, this is the time when you need to start outsourcing and finding help. You need to buy time because you're already working 14 hours. There is no way you can grow it. So you need to buy time in order to do your work, which is find more money. This is your work. And whatever is repetitive, you need to find help for that. So if you don't do this perception shift, your company is never going to grow.
Yeah, I know. Like, one of the hardest things I've learned is to be able to delegate and not feel guilty about it. That was my biggest problem. And I just think that when you said like outsource and find time and stuff like that, in any way that works for you, maybe your kids help you, maybe somebody else, friends or family, whatever. I think that's when you learn how to grow, when you delegate, and that's when you scale your life and your business. I think you should just definitely find time for yourself, and that's the right way and the right decision for you, like for your mental health, for everything, and I just think that we as women, it was always like like catering to everyone and being servile and stuff like that. And I just think that throughout the whole history, like if you are not sacrificing yourself for your family and maybe also for your friends, that you're just a bad person. you're a horrible mom, and like, why do you have kids, and that's just a really horrible, way of thinking. And whenever somebody is not doing that, is like, yeah, she's a really, what she did, like she went to theater, she bought her expensive clothes and makeup, and like her kids, she didn't buy like, I don't know, anything for them, even though she always does that. But the one thing, when you do something which is not according to a pattern, that's a disaster. It's like, it doesn't really matter what you were doing for your kids or for anybody else, as long as like once you do something which is a major no-no, that also is really horrible, to hear that somebody does.
I remember from like even a couple of years ago, like, my mom just couldn't handle the idea that I do not really cook, warm meals in the evening. Of course I do, like I don't starve my family, but
yeah, of course
I teach my kids how to do macaroni and minced meat for like when they were 5 years old, like they can. And my mom,
they can survive on their own. Yeah.
I mean, you can boil macaroni. It's nothing hard about it. You can chop an apple. There's nothing like, I don't need to do that for you. So my mom came over and she was like, Egle, why are you not cooking for your family? Like, why you are not being the mom, the woman? And I just, ended up saying to her, like, Mama, I'm different. I don't do that. I mean, of course I cook and I but everybody takes their turns. This is not only my task. So you need to have a courage to tell even your closest one that, Mama, I'm different. I just function differently in order to be fulfilled. And, and only way to be fulfilled is to grow outside of your comfort zone. And something I'd love to say as almost like a last thought with you is definitely something I need to say, is that growth is out of your comfort zone, but that means you're going to be in a frustration, in like instability mode for a lot of the times. But knowing the journey, that what you want to get out of it is that you don't want to avoid failures, you just want to enjoy the journey. So like when you are 80 years old and you're talking to your grandkids, like it is actually fun to talk about, listen, your granny just screwed up, you had a $20,000 mess, you had a failure, how did you conquer that? Your grandkids, they're going to learn from this. They're going to be more courageable. They're going to take more risks in their own life if they hear they had a wonderful granny who actually did crazy stuff. You're fulfilled because you did have this experience. You're growing because you have those things. You are not going to have the same mistake twice in your life. Mostly you're taking so much, like this is almost like a lifetime university if you are willing to go and fail, because failure is the best life university you could have. And most people are not willing to go to the path of failure. So whenever you start, I would say that keep in mind that you are going to fail. Failure is great. Failure is part of the journey, and only through failure you are going to be successful. I don't think there is a person out here who cannot have 7-figure business. Everybody can have a 7-figure business, but people who are not willing to fail 50 times in doing different things, they just can't have it. You need to be able to fail 50 times in different things. And you need to embrace it, love it, and focus on, okay, what did I learn about it? And your competition goes like, okay, that sucked. Like I lost my time, my money, my motivation, but you're going to go about it. Okay, what did I learn about it? How can I improve my processes, my thinking patterns, my everything, in order to never have this mistake again? And then 7-figure, 8-figure business there is no way you are not going to achieve it. You just are going to achieve it because you've learned so much. So this is what I
think definitely. And like after you failed like 40 times, you're hungry for success, so that kind of intensifies your wish, like after every time you fail. But I think also, like, and let's just, end with this. I just think that the perseverance is something that is key to everything, because if you fail, you don't give up. If you fail 15 times, you don't give up. And you just, and people who have perseverance to stand up after they've fallen down for so many times will be successful because they get it. They get and understand what they need. No matter if you're like a man or a woman, we're all made of, the same molecules. And I think everybody is entitled to succeed. And if you don't have it in you, you can practice that. You can build that skill. It's not something that people are born with. I mean, some of them are, but a lot of people aren't born with that skill. But you can practice it, and you can make yourself this super awesome person that you just kind of read in the books, or you're listening to this person's podcast. You should be that person, definitely. And why not? I mean, I don't think there are any obstacles. I don't, like I'm sitting here like in Belgrade in Serbia. It's not like the States. It's not any other like super awesome Western country. And yet, like, Lazar has his office here. It's like 45 people. It's just, he kind of built it from scratch. And, it's like, there are no excuses. For some people will be like, yeah, but I'm like, in this like, like a super poor country that's not even part of the EU. So what? Right? Like, there are no obstacles for you in this world. And I think this is the best time ever in the history of humanity, when it has never been easier actually to go on your entrepreneurial path and do whatever you want, online, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
It's easier than ever. And you also have to understand failure is the way. Being secure, safe, and successful. I have my room is taken soon. I see you. Yeah. A failure is the way. Imbalance is the new balance. Just embrace that. Imbalance is wonderful. Imbalance is something that gets you forward, because you're always learning something. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to be in your uncomfortable zone. So let's just do it.
Yeah, definitely. Egle, thank you so much for all of these super awesome advice and wisdom. And I could talk to you like forever. And I just think that, I mean, they're like, I feel so super, I mean, I have my own business and everything, but I feel so super stoked and motivated. And I'm just gonna, I don't know, like, I'm just gonna do something awesome today. So thank you so much for coming over and being you. And I just admire everything you do about you. You have your conferences also in Estonia. So if people want to reach out to you, what's the best way to do it?
Find me in Instagram. I'm sharing my entrepreneurial story, my messes, my mess ups, my frustration in Instagram. We are going to have like our conference in Estonia was postponed. We're going to have it 12th of June next year in 2021.
Oh, okay.
So I think we're going to have it in English. So whenever you want, you can join in. We're mostly talking about success stories of big sellers. Also, in some international service providers plugging in there, like data, like BBC Knowledge, like Tanya McMillan and stuff. So it's going to be a hybrid conference of seller success stories and service providers. So 12th of June, 2021. And Instagram, Egle Raadik. Find me there. Let's have an entrepreneurial, fun, philosophical growth journey together. And all the women out there, for the men, I love you too, but for the women, let's just do it. Women! For now.
Perfect. Thank you, Egle, so much. Have a great week, and I'll hope to see you soon again in person. Yeah. Thank you. Take care.